Okay guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's Walker FX here, and in this video we are going to take a look or an outlook on what's gonna happen the week ahead of us. And I believe by the end of the week we're gonna have a profitable week like we had last week. Last week we did an analysis or outlook on what's gonna happen, and it happened exactly how we analyzed it, which is amazing. That's the power of knowledge. And this week also, or today, we are going to take a look on your favorite pairs, which is gold, DXY, and BTC, and see what's gonna happen in the week ahead of us. And I believe we are going to have a profitable week like we did last week. So I believe by the end of the video you have a knowledge on what's gonna happen, and I believe you're gonna trade with confidence as well. Yeah, because in trading you need to have confidence. If you have the knowledge, you definitely have confidence, and you have to know what you are doing, right? So I believe by the end of this video you have an idea of what's gonna happen in the market in the week ahead of us. So we will start by analyzing the DXY. As you all know, the DXY correlates with a lot of pairs, and since we are trading gold, the DXY correlates with a lot of pairs that has the USD in it, right? So the DXY stands for the United States dollar index, right? So any currency or any pair you are trading that has the DXY in it, you have to know that you have to take a look on the DXY before analyzing those pairs, which will help you as well to know the direction or the bias of the market, or whatever pair you are trading. And since we trade gold and BTC, and gold has the USD also in it, so we will first look at what the DXY is doing, so we have an idea on what's going to happen in the other pairs as well that has the USD, right? So let's quickly dive into the DXY and see what's going to happen or what is happening in the DXY. So this is the monthly time frame. We are on the monthly time frame on DXY. Let me clear everything so we start all over again. Yeah, so we are on the monthly time frame in the DXY. As we can see, the DXY is still in the bullish trend. We are still in the bullish trend, right? Yeah, we are still in the bullish trend. So what are we expecting? We'll be expecting buys on DXY, right? We expect DXY to buy. Or in the monthly time frame, the DXY is in an uptrend. We are still in an uptrend. So how do we know we are still in an uptrend in the DXY? We can draw our trend line. We start from here. We can see DXY has been respecting trend lines, right? So this is a clear indication that the DXY is in an uptrend, right? That's why we can see a lot of pairs like gold and BTC dropping in the past 6 months. Gold, BTC has been dropping because the DXY has been moving upwards. Like I told you, the DXY correlates with a lot of pairs, right? So if the DXY is moving upwards, any pair that has a USD in it and has the USD as the quote currency will definitely drop, right? That's why we are having the gold dropping, BTC dropping, and most of the currency pairs that have the USD dropping, because the USD is having strength or gaining strength, right? So when this happens, it will drop any currency that has the USD in it, right? So on the monthly time frame, we can see the DXY moving upwards, right? Expanded, respecting trend lines over here and all that, forming higher highs and higher lows. We can see higher highs forming over here. This is a higher high. We came to form a higher low over here. Price came to form a higher high over here, came to form a higher low. Now we formed a higher high that broke this previous high, right? and we are coming back. This is a higher low, so we expect another higher high to continue pushing it upwards, right? Unless we see any break, unless we see price breaking this previous higher low, that's when we can know that DXY has shifted structure from bullish to bearish, right? So the fact that this low hasn't been broken, DXY is still in an uptrend, right? So on the monthly time frame, this is what the DXY is doing. Firstly, is respecting this trend line, bullish trend line. Secondly, is forming higher highs and higher lows, like we can see, and now it's forming a higher low, right? And this is a critical, or a good zone where we don't have to overlook, because when we are looking for our buy entries, we always want to take a buy on the higher low. We don't want to take buys on higher highs, right? Because the high has already been formed. You cannot be taking buys over there. That's very risky. We take buys on the pullbacks, right? So since the DXY has given us a pullback or a higher low, we expect a higher high. So this is where we don't want to miss an entry over here. So this is where we'll be looking out for the most, right? So, and another, we will also look at another zone over here where an impulsive move happened, right? So this is where we got an impulsive move on DXY that broke this previous high, right? So we also use our Fibonacci to mark where the movement started to where it ended. And this is my Fibonacci settings. Fibonacci has a lot of levels, but this is my levels that I've always set, that I always pay close attention to. I only have 3 levels, which is the 50% level, 50% psychological level, the 61.80 level, and the 78.60. If you mostly join my live, you can know you know these things, and you know how to set it, right? I will make a video on how I set my Fibonacci settings. So mostly, since I trade supply and demand, everybody knows I trade supply and demand. Everybody who follows me know I trade supply and demand. And supply and demand strategy, we will always want to be we will always want to focus on the 61.8% and 78.6% deep retracement level, right? So when we drew our Fibonacci from where the movement started to where the movement is, we can see that price has retraced back to our zone, which is a 61.80 and 78.60%, and has started reacting, right? So price is in our point of interest at the monthly time frame, or on the monthly time frame, price is in our point of interest, which is also amazing, right? So we've seen 3 confluences that price is in an uptrend, and currently where market is, or where price is also a critical zone, right? Where any movement can happen anytime, right? So you pay close attention to that zone as well. So we wouldn't like to waste much time. Let's go to the weekly time frame to see whatever is happening over there. On the weekly time frame, is also doing the same thing, right? Same thing. If we draw our Fibonacci from where this big movement started, this is where the big movement started, we will draw our Fibonacci over here to where it ended and started retracing. Still, price is still in our zone, which is the 61.80 and the 78.60, right? And we've seen some kind of rejections over here on the trend line as well, giving us some kind of rejections over here, right? Yeah, and it's also on the trend line as well. In trading, when you are analyzing the chart, you have to make sure most of things collides with a lot of things, right? Most of your confluences are right. You don't just analyze it anyhow, right? Even though it's not part of your strategy, you have to make sure it's respecting it, right? So we've found out that on the monthly and the weekly, price is still in an uptrend and doing the same thing over and over again, right? So we wouldn't like to waste much time, so we go to the 4-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see something over here. We all know market is in an uptrend on the daily, on the weekly and the monthly time frame, right? And it's also on the trend line, right? And on the 4-hour time frame, we can see something also. Market has created a demand zone over here. Market has created a demand zone over here, right? That's where I've marked. So market has created a demand zone over here, right? And we can see price is currently at the demand zone. When price go to the demand zone, it started giving us some kind of bullish structure on the 4-hour time frame. How can we know that market is giving us bullish structure? This is a higher high, higher low. I don't have to go back to price action. We all know this. Higher high, higher lows, creating higher highs and higher lows and all that, right? So you can see this low has been broken, right? This low has been broken, which is also a crucial point that you don't have to overlook, because on the 4-hour time frame, you have to know we are on the 4-hour time frame. So these moves are big movements, right? Some traders might say price has shifted. Some also might say no, it's respecting this demand zone or this support zone, right? Because we can also see that when it got to this zone, also it gave us some kind of rejection in a bullish engulfing candle on a red on a 4-hour time frame, right? So we have two things. We have to wait for price to either break this low and give us some kind of bearish structure, or continue pushing up. If we continue pushing up, we can know that price is still respecting this this support zone, right? But if it's continue pushing down or gives us some kind of bearish structure, we can know that now market or the DXY wants to go down, right? But for now, the DXY is still in an uptrend for me. And I told you, all these movements, there are some movements, there are corrections, right? When you register on the mentorship, I teach you everything, because this is the daily time frame. The daily time frame is still in an uptrend. This movement hasn't done anything, right? The sales we saw on the 4-hour time frame, when you come to the daily time frame, it's still giving us a bullish structure. It hasn't done anything. This is the trend line on the monthly time frame, and this is our daily demand zone. Market is respecting. When it got here, it gave us some kind of bullish structure. Now market came back to that zone again, couldn't break this zone, also rejected, started forming a bullish structure over here. So like everything I want you to know is that the DXY is still bullish for now. The DXY is still bullish, right? On the 30 minutes time frame, everything is bullish right now on the DXY, right? So we have to know that most of the pairs like gold and BTC is still bearish. Unless we see any kind of movement or break of structure or market structure shift, that's when we know that price has shifted from bearish to bullish. But for now, DXY is still bullish. Gold will still be what? Bearish, right? The DXY, we don't trade DXY, we just analyze it and know how gold and other pairs are going to also react, or what's also going to happen on gold. So now the reason why we started with the DXY, we just want to see what's happening and what's gonna happen, right? It's just giving us an idea. So let's quickly go back to BTC. We'll go to be the last. Let's quickly go back to BTC. We've been taking some good trades on BTC. This trade was we took this trade last week and it smashed full TP, or still heading to full TP over here, but we are out on BTC is giving some kind of bullish structure, but but on the weekly time frame, BTC is still like bearish, but the overall trend is still bullish. But on the monthly time frame, the current structure is still bearish, you know, still bearish. But since we'll be doing top-down analysis, this is BTC, right? So the BTC is also still bullish. Why? Because we can see that this is the high that was broken, and market has, you know, come back to this same zone, and, you know, I started reacting, right? Unless this zone is being broken, that's when we know that BTC is what, going down more. But what's happening over here shows that BTC, you know, wants to move up, right? Wants to move upwards. So for now, on the monthly or the weekly time frame, this is the monthly time frame. This is how the BTC looks on the monthly time frame. So on the monthly, it's a clear, you know, it's very clear that BTC is in an uptrend. It's very clear that BTC is in an uptrend on the monthly time frame. So this sales you saw over here is like a correction for price to continue pushing upwards, right? Because this was a previous high that was broken. And in my mentorship or in my teachings, you can know that I always teach how to spot, you know, support and resistance. I always tell you, support will later become a resistance, and resistance will always later become a support, right? So previously this was our resistance zone. It got broken, and market has now come back to that zone, acting like a support right now and giving us some kind of bullish structure. So BTC has, you know, is giving us a continuation structure after that correction, right? So we were expecting buys on BTC, or it's giving us a clear idea that BTC is still, you know, bullish. And on the weekly time frame, you can see we got a small consolidation over here. And we still have a demand zone over here. BTC came back to this zone and started reacting, right? So if assuming this zone was being broken, that's when we know that BTC has completely shifted. But since this zone hasn't been broken yet, and this zone is also a valid demand zone, you can see that BTC has started reacting on that zone and giving us a kind of bullish structure. And this is on a weekly time frame, so you have to know that these movements are very, very big, right? Also, we can see some kind of change of character over here, from bearish to bullish over here, right? Giving us some kind of, you can see a lot of green candles, bullish candles on the weekly time frame. When you go to the daily time frame, also BTC is giving us, forming, you know, a bullish structure over there, right? Bullish structure, because it broke this previous high, right? So let's see what's gonna happen on the 4-hour time frame, right? When we go to the 4-hour time frame, we can see BTC is creating higher highs and higher lows, right? You can see higher high over here, higher low, higher high, higher low, you know, higher high, higher low. This low wasn't, you know, was not broken, right? So this is valid, still a valid higher low. Broke this structure, giving us a new higher high. Came here, this higher low hasn't been broken, right? This higher low hasn't been broken, so it has come back here again and start like giving us a higher high again. So we're expecting BTC to break this previous high and, you know, continue pushing upwards like how it's always doing. Unless this higher low has been broken, that's when we know that BTC is, you know, changing structure from bullish to bearish on the 4-hour time frame, right? So for now, you'll still be looking for more buys on BTC unless anything happens, right? We're looking for buys on BTC unless anything happens. So let's go to gold. Let's quickly go to gold. Gold is very, you know, gold doesn't respect structures, or gold doesn't respect price actions and all that. If you are trading gold, if you have been trading gold for the throughout this year, you know that it hasn't been easy at all. Gold doesn't respect anything. It just does what it wants, right? Yeah. So for now, I'll be looking for sales. I'll still be looking for sales on gold. Yeah, I haven't still find any bullish structure forming in gold. Still, gold is still giving us a kind of bearish structure, right? This is the daily time frame on gold. Gold is still giving us a bearish structure. You can see a lower high over here, a lower high over here. You can see a lower high over here, lower low, lower high. Market couldn't break this previous high, so this is a lower high, right? Came, gave us a lower low, breaking this previous low, giving us a lower low over here, forming a lower high. So if you don't see any kind of bullish structure, gold can still give us some kind of lower low over here to still continue pushing upwards, unless geopolitically or fundamentally something happens, right? That maybe you can see a pump and go to the upside. But for now, gold is still giving us a bearish structure on the daily time frame. We don't even want to go on the monthly or the weekly time frame because there's no proper structure over there. So this is on the daily time frame. Gold is still giving us a bearish structure, and it makes sense because the DXY is also giving us a bullish structure, right? So it's correlating. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame and see what's happening, right? So we can see the reason why I'm even saying gold is giving us a bearish structure, because initially gold was giving us a bullish structure, giving us a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and higher high, right? And we can see that this low has been broken to the downside, right? So this low has been broken to the downside. We broke this previous low, giving us a form of change of character or market structure shift, and now market is correcting, giving us a lower high, maybe probably to continue pushing upwards unless this high. So now, so far gold hasn't broken this 4880, 4880. So far as gold hasn't broken this zone, we are still bearish unless this zone is being broken. Unless gold breaks this zone, that's when we can see a proper market structure shift that gold is gold is going up. But for now, we are still seeing a bearish structure on gold. And let's go to the weekly the 1-hour time frame to see what happened, or how to spot an entry over there. So on the 1-hour time frame, we saw some kind of consolidation over here. And now price broke the consolidation zone. Price broke the consolidation zone to the downside, and if we draw our Fibonacci from where price started breaking to where it ended, this is where the break or the movement started or happened to the downside. That's why I started my Fibonacci over there, from there to the downside, and this is where it ended and started giving us some kind of rejection or correction, right? And like I told you on my Fibonacci, what I want to see is price being in my 61 and 78.60%. Now currently we can see gold is still in that zone. Gold has retraced into that zone and has given us some kind of rejection and giving us some kind of bearish structure or bearish candles starting forming. So this will give us a clear indication that price still wants to push downwards, right? We got our indecision, our inducement or liquidity over here. So most people might want to take a sell over here, but it got liquidated or induced and respected this, bearish order block over here. There's a bearish order block over here, which price respected, right? Price respected this. Price has respected this bearish order block. So what can we see? We've seen a lot of confluences that gold wants to sell. Firstly, it broke this consolidation. We drew our Fibonacci. Price is in our level where we are interested in, or our point of interest. Price has induced this one, respecting this order block, and has rejected, giving us some kind of rejections and bearish structure over here. So we want to see, probably if market opens, it will open to the downside, or it will give us some kind of small pullback before we see any kind of big movement. So let's go to the 15 minutes time frame if you want to find an entry, assuming, like I always do, you don't have to rush. If the market goes, let it go. But if you missed it and you want to find an entry, gold has been giving us a lower bearish structure on the week 15 minutes time frame. Or let's go to the 5 minutes time frame. On the 5 minutes time frame, you can still see that gold is still giving us a bearish structure, which means gold is respecting the higher time frames, and the lower time frames and the higher time frames are are the same, or giving us the same structure, right? Giving us lower lows and lower highs, right? So we have to draw our Fibonacci. Assuming you made this sell setup and you still want to see some kind of, you still want to get some kind of entry, we can draw our Fibonacci and know where gold can retrace to before taking our sales. So if market opens and it gives us a bearish, we are expecting a fall, a big drop on gold, or big sales on gold, we are still in sales, right? I dropped that trade in my community, with my community on Friday. We are still in the sales and we are running like 200 pips. So if market opens, we expect a big drop on gold, but if the drop doesn't happen and gives us some kind of bullish structure, we expect market to retrace into this zone. On the 5 minutes time frame, we expect market to retrace into our 78.60 to 68.80 zone, probably this zone, and see some, if we see some kind of rejections, we take our buys, our sales over here. But if it doesn't retrace into that zone, it can, and if it drops, it still makes sense because we already took our sales from here. I'm just saying, if you missed the sell and you are planning to still take the sell entry, maybe probably if gold retraces in this zone, that's when you can enter in for your sales. But for now, we are already in the sales. Gold has already started selling, right? So it can still not retrace, it can still continue pushing downwards, which we are still in that zone, we are still in that sales. But I'm saying, for you that you missed that sell, if you still want to take an entry, you have to wait for a retracement into the zone before taking entry, right? So this is what we'll be expecting on gold, unless we see any kind of bullish structure, or fundamentally we hear anything or anything like that forming. That's when maybe you can see some kind of market structure shift. But technically, gold is still bearish. Technically, gold is still bearish. Yeah, technically gold is still bearish. So this is it for now. I believe you've learned a lot of things, and this is what we'll be expecting on the pairs for the following week. And I wish everybody a profitable week. This week we are going to smash it again like we did last week. And if you're not in the community, you better join the community. And also, our VIP is opened, our May VIP is opened. You don't want to miss our exclusive setups and signals. You better join the signals entry better join the VIP community and take our signals, precise entry, properly analyzed, and you have to join so that we can smash it together, we can win together, because the goal is to be financially free. And we want to be financially free together, right? Yeah, so you have to subscribe to the channel for more trading content. We just started and we are we'll be taking it to the next level. Expect more and more. Yeah, so I'm out, I'm done. See you guys in the next video.